Okay, welcome back. Sorry for the low battery. I'm charged up here, and I did work on this while the battery was charging, and I just want to kind of finish up on this to give you guys, the goods here. And so basically, what I did is I adjusted the. I didn't have to make any adjustments. I found out what I was doing wrong on this side was I was pushing down here when this is not level to the table, or to this base, I should say. So instead of doing that, I should have pushed down here where the majority of the base is, and should have done it that way instead of trying to push over here. It's kind of deceptive because the fence extends out because a couple of reasons is obviously I'll loosen this up now. First of all, when you have it beveled like this, you need to get that clearance. You see that? You need to clear that fence that's sliding through. So that's why you need to extend that fence out. I'm finding the same thing here as well. Oh, I got the lock on. Excuse me. Let me just pull that. And this I'll talk about this a little bit later. But let's put this down. And that's how you bevel it to the other side, like so. Okay. And not only do you have to clear the other side, you have to clear this side as well. And I'm barely just clearing that right there. So you have to clear that side. And look how far you have to go on this. Look how far. Look how far I had to move the fence if I'm going to clear the bevel. See? Look how far that fence is out there. It's not really much of a fence anymore, you know. And I'm barely clearing that. You see that? I'm barely clearing it. Just to give you an idea, and that's how much fence I've got extended out. So basically, this side isn't too bad. You don't have to extend it out all the way to where this is, but this, you have to basically extend your fence all the way out to this, to where your extenders are. I'm actually a little bit more if you look at it from here, just a little bit more, and so that's a big extension, but that's all right. So when you bevel it this side, you have to clear that, and then also you have to come down, and not only that, but you have to clear right here. You have to clear that as well. So let me move some stuff out of the way to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So you're clearing that right here. You see that? You got to clear that when you go down on this side of the bevel, and I am clearing it just to make that clear. So it is being cleared. Barely, you can see, barely. Anyways, and then you got to clear that coming through. Okay, so I mean, you could put the fence all the way up here, and you don't. But if you forget and you turn this thing over, you're gonna hit this fence. And another thing is, because of the bevel, this thing is practically useless right here. Because if I put this in, you see it's gonna hit. Same thing on the other side. If I put it here, it's gonna hit up against here. So you can still use it. It's just that if you forget about it and then you turn that and you try to bevel it 45 one or the other way, depending where this is, you're gonna hit into it, and you're not gonna realize it, and you're gonna wonder why you're not getting good straight cuts. So there, okay. And then another thing is, I noticed when I was beveling on this side, this angle right here, which I kind of did a cut on it, but the cut was not going all the way through. One of the reasons was obviously because of this problem. This here was hitting onto here, but I had to play with this. I had to adjust this right here because and this is where it stops, right there. So this one, if you can see it, it's kind of hard to see. There you go. Got to move out of the way. So this was stopping right here. This, I don't know what it does, but there's just a hole right there. It just goes, seems like it goes through. But anyways, the tough part about this was that there is a nut, and then you got a hex screw, and you got to loosen the nut and turn the hex screw, and then tighten the nut to keep it in place, or it'll just move. So the problem is, and I will demonstrate to you as best as I can, was, you know, if you have a hex wrench, even if you had a hex wrench, this is still pretty tough to get through, because mainly this is in the way. So I don't know how you would try to, you know, see what I'm saying? And this is also in the way. So I don't know how you would try to get here, and it doesn't, you know, because you're at an angle, it still does not go through. So that was kind of a challenge. But you know, if you're creative, and you got to be creative, this comes off, and then I was able to simply do something like this, turn it by hand. At first I couldn't. I had to use a small wrench like this. Guess where I got this? Take a good guess. But anyways, and then I had to do something like, you know, be creative. Go in there like this. Of course I was on the other side here. Let's see if I can do this. So something like this. That's magnetic. Okay, there you go. Something like this. And then it was pretty tight, so I had to, actually I wasn't, I could be all the way up here on the top part, and then do it like that. So, and then I had to also turn the nut as well. So I had to, there we go. So I also had to loosen the nut, then loosen the screw to the point where it would cut all the way. The blade would go through the kerf, but not, you know, not hit this edge right here. You could, but I didn't want to. So I had to play around with that for a while, and then this thing doesn't, the second part of this thing really doesn't do much of anything. This thing right here, this piece doesn't really do much of anything, but it does get caught up in that hole right here. It does get caught up in here, so it kind of prevents it from, sometimes it gets caught up here and doesn't go all the way through. And on top of that, you have to do the same thing, except there's a little, I don't know what this is. Here, hold on. There we go. Right here, there's you could turn some kind of thumb turn. It's not a thumb turn, but you could turn it with your thumb to lock it. So you got to loosen this and then adjust it and then tighten it. So Anyways, this is not the important piece. This one is right here. You had to really tighten this nut to keep it in place, or it would move on you. So I had to test it going on the left bevel and the right bevel, just to make sure that it went all the way through, and I did, and it's at the same time that it didn't cut through the kerf as well. As you see, there's no cut right there. So that was a challenge. But you know where to get these tools, right? You can get these tools at your favorite store. That's right. It's probably the same place I got these tools. So that was a challenge there. But you know, if you look at that fence, it's really out there. See, looks like this thing's gonna fly now, but it cuts really good though out of the box. I really didn't have to make that much adjustments. I didn't have to move the fence, and I still haven't figured out how to move the fence. There's nothing. Okay. There is a adjustment. There it is. Sorry. There it is. It's under there. So you'd have to take off this latch, quick release latch or lever, and then adjust it. And you only got two. So it's a one on this side, and then I believe the one on the other side as well. Yeah, there it is. There it is. You see it? So you're gonna have to basically loosen this piece here, and then to get to another hex bolt of some kind to adjust the fence. But unfortunately, this fence is pretty perpendicular to the blade, from what I've seen. I haven't. I should. You know what? I don't think I've tested that. I've tested it going this way, but I haven't tested it going this way. Although I made the cuts for it, and I squared it. So I guess it is, if that all worked out. So those were the challenges here. But at the same time, I didn't really have to adjust the fence. I didn't have to do a lot of things. I just had to overcome some minor problems with the motor. Although from what I understand, they moved the motor from here to there, I should say, and then, or I should say, moved it from. Well, I know they moved the motor somehow where you can now see from. You have this whole side clear, as well as this whole side clear to look at. I haven't seen the videos yet, but the laser looks like it's in the middle. So it tells you, it'll let you know where you are in the middle, but as you know, you don't need a middle cut, you need an edge cut. You need a left or a right edge cut to get the kind of cut that you're looking for. And excuse me, let me do this so I find that there. I don't know why, but all of a sudden it gets very sharp. Image comes out much sharper. Well, anyway, I kind of have an idea why, but anyway, that's another story here. So, does the laser help? Yeah, I'll let you know where it's going to cut, but does it tell you where exactly it's going to cut? I don't think so. So, anyways, oh yeah, I also found out what these are for. These go, if I can, I did put the bag on. It's a really big hole. The dust outlet's a big hole. So, but there it is. The bag is in, and let's see how it rolls. I probably want it to the side. Probably probably want the bag to be shooting off to the side, so we'll make it like that. Anyways, well, for this case, there were 2 screws. This is one screw right here, and this is another screw. Now there's a difference in this screw. Is if you look at the threads, this has a much wider thread, and this has a more, let me see here if I can get a view of that. That has a more narrower thread, and it's because this goes into this metal piece, where this piece goes into this plastic piece. And I was wondering why do these 2 screws have different threads? This looks more like a wood screw, and this looks like more like a, you know, machine screw or finish screw or whatever you want to call it. And so basically that's kind of why. So don't confuse one with the other. Save yourself some headache. And then basically this piece goes, and either or, doesn't really matter. This piece goes here, and then there's another piece, a second piece, and that goes over here. And that's just for the cord, I'm assuming, the cord to be, you know, draped to the side. And what if you do that, the cord all of a sudden gets a little smaller. It's like a 6-foot cord. Well, if you drape it to the side like the way they want you to, the cord gets a little bit smaller. But that's alright, because I'm going to eventually have it on this wall, and I'm eventually going to have some outlets here as soon as I could get a sub panel. Anyways, I'm getting low on battery again, but that's kind of like the only thing I really wanted to talk about. And it's the same thing over here as well. When you adjust the bevel on the angles, you got a nut and then a bolt. So you have to loosen the nut to adjust the bolt with a hex wrench if you have one, and the same thing on the other side. And then you got to tighten it back up to keep them in place. So this part of it is a little bit. This part of it is a little bit was a little bit tougher in that regard, but at the same time it wasn't. I didn't have to spend the time to really adjust this. The fence on this is, like I said, the fence really comes out if you want it to be versatile. You can close this side up and just use it as like you would on a regular, just a compound miter saw. But this is a double bevel, so that's why you bought it. You want to use it that way, so you kind of have to have it that far out, just to give you an idea. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty awesome. I'm actually very happy. I still give it a very excellent. Although Manuel really sucked at explaining anything, and if you ever get this, you'll see what I'm talking about. But hopefully you had a chance to see this and you didn't skip through too much. And when you get this, you should be able to just pull it out of the bag, make those adjustments, realize what you need to do and how it works, and you should be rocking. Like I said, I love the adjustable supports. Just gotta make sure you adjust it right. Then having the fence extension work with the supports, well, it's gonna work great. So I'm running out of batteries. Sorry, guys. Again, subscribe. Come back again, because I'm gonna be doing a field test on this, and hopefully I'll give you more information on, if it worked out or if it didn't work out, what I like, and some improvements should be. But overall, it's really great. I'm impressed with it. If you see my 10-inch miter saw, man, that makes it look like a little boy's toy. Compared to this, this is like a man's toy, so to speak. So, anyways, for the money again and the cost, I can't complain. It's really hard for me to complain if you consider what you pay for this, and I like the color. The color scheme looks really good, the black and yellow instead of that red, maroon, whatever color. So, anyways, hopefully this helped you guys out a lot, and you benefited from this. If you need to, ask some questions, go ahead and comment, like, dislike, whatever. Feel free to do whatever you want. Anyways, tune in for the next episodes, and thanks for watching. Bye. Clear that side. And look how far you have to go on this. Look how far. Look how far I had to move the fence if I'm going to clear the bevel. See? Look how far that fence is out there. It's not really much of a fence anymore, you know. And I'm barely clearing that. You see that? I'm barely clearing it. Because a couple of reasons is obviously I'll loosen this up now. First of all, when you have it beveled like this, you need to get that clearance. You see that? You need to clear that fence that's sliding through. So that's why you need to extend that fence out. I'm finding the same thing here as well. Oh, I got the... Okay, welcome back. Sorry for the low battery. I'm charged up here, and I did work on this while the battery was charging. And I just want to kind of finish up on this to give you guys, the goods here. And so basically what I did is I adjusted the, I didn't have to make any adjustments. I found out what I was doing wrong on this side was, I got the lock on. Excuse me, let me just pull that. And this, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but let's put this down. And that's how you bevel it to the other side. Like so, okay? And not only do you have to clear the other side, you have to clear this side as well, and I'm barely just clearing that right there. So I was pushing down here when this is not level to the table, or to this base, I should say. So instead of doing that, I should have pushed down here where the majority of the base is, and should have done it that way instead of trying to push over here. It's kind of deceptive because the fence extends out because